Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. I've not gone away for those of you that have subscribed to my channel previously, but I have got a new project that we are working on, and I'm going to be introducing a unit which is from TLM, which is an exam board that offer a coursework qualification for you, which is either at level 1, which is the equivalent of GCSE grade 3 to 1, or a level 2 qualification at 9 to 4. And the only really big difference is the outcomes that you produce. So if you follow all my guidance, then I'm sure you're going to go out really well with the level 2 qualification. Now, I'm really pleased to introduce this one to you. This is on environmental sustainability, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's basically talking about our planet. It's talking about the world that we live in, climate, pollution, autonomous vehicles as well, and how electricity works. So it's a very varied 8-lesson unit. So enough of me, here's our new cheesy intro sequence. Brilliant. So if you've followed me for some time, you know how this works. If you've not, then you don't. So here we are, a brief summary. What I'll do is I'll take you through the lesson. You pause the video where you need to. Any description, any links that you need will be in the description below. So you will need to access that to gain any of the resources unless you've got a resource pack from me. So let's start with this. Which of these pictures behind me are pollutants? Have a look, shout out at your screen if you want to. Okay, I'm sure that you probably thought by now, they're all pollutants, okay? So you've got oil rigs, you've got gas stations, you've got aeroplanes, you've got litter, and you've also got car pollution. So all of those are pollutants. So my second question for you to think about, which of these are worse for the planet? Okay, so I wonder what you decided on that. Would you say cars because it affects the majority of the planet? Would you say it's oil because of the environmental disasters that can occur? Or would you say it's aeroplanes because they actually do cause the most amount of pollution? What about this one? How would you resolve the issues that these create? Okay, I wonder if you said you do a big cleanup for the litter, or if you said that the cars you'd maybe make electric, or that you wouldn't use coal or gas in production for electricity. And my last question for you: how do they affect the environment? Okay, how do these affect the environment? Have a think of that for a moment. Okay, so with those thoughts, what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to grab a pen and paper. You do need to be putting this title in your work. You don't need to be putting a date, but I'm going to go over this with you. So our title is Air Pollution Around the World. Air pollution around the world. And we're going to identify, these are our learning objectives, you don't need to write these down, but this is what the boards say you need to know. Our objectives are to identify how to plot a line on a graph. So there is a maths focus today, don't panic, it's not complicated. We're going to describe how to create a graph from the data given you. So I'm going to give you data and you're going to need to create a chart with that. We're going to discuss what air pollution is. And we're going to describe our specification criteria is to describe and create a graph from the data given you. So it's not massively complicated. I'm going to take you through it and we'll explore it as we go together. So you just get the title written down. You'll need to pause me while you do that if you've not done that already. Okay, so I just want to give you a bit of a visual thing just to get you thinking. As you are aware, I'm sure you can't have missed this. We've recently come out of a pandemic, or maybe we're still in the pandemic, but we had a series of lockdowns. You might remember some of those. But they did some really fascinating things to the environment, and I just wanted to show you. This is from the Guardian's webpage, and I think this was a really good way of showing you the difference that humans make to the planet. So here we are. If I show you this one, this is a photo of Delhi. Okay, you can see here this is in normal times, and when lockdown occurred, this happened. Just within a few months of lockdown, the air quality improved, and you ended up with a very different landscape. You can see there, yes, I know it's not frosty because obviously that's the conditions, but you've got animals now that were in the water. We found the same there where I live in Liverpool, where we had porpoises that started to come down as well in the Mersey, which is pretty much unheard of. Here's another picture. This is of a very famous building in India. Okay, if we would look at this, and there were similar things that were taking place in France as well with the Arc de Triomphe. That you can see pictures of that online. So here you go. You can see the difference that humans make on the environment. As soon as humans are removed from the environment, look how much clearer that gets. Okay, which is really impressive. That's New Delhi in India. Okay, now this one. Okay, let's have a look at this. That's it during lockdown. It looks like a really nice place. And this is what happens, again, New Delhi, but it's just endemic of what happened around the world. This is it in normal times. I mean, just look at those. The difference between the two is huge. I know where I would rather be, okay? And it's just a fascinating time. Here you can see some of the difference. This is Sao Paulo, the lack of traffic. Normally this is in Logjam and stuff. Here you've got, again, no cars on the road. Fascinating. There you go. This is Colombia. Again, repeated all across the world. If you've ever seen Disney World, worth having a look at some of those pictures during lockdown, because during lockdown they were phenomenal with the way that there were just no crowds. Obviously no one was there, they were closed. It was unheard of, the first time in Disney World's history. So you come across this time and time again, the impact that humans have on the environment. So the WHO, the Worldwide Health Organization, suggests that they do a campaign called Breathe Life, and it's about clean air and healthy futures. And I want us to think briefly about why it's important that we focus on clean air in our world and what difference it would make if we achieve it. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to just write a couple of sentences down, please, about why you think it's important that we focus on clear air in our world and what difference it would make if we can achieve it. So I'd like you to give that a go now. Just write down a couple of sentences and then come back to me. So you'll need to pause me now. Okay, and now you've done that, I did come across this fascinating clip on the Breathe Life webpage. So I'm going to play this to you now, and this shows you the story of a child walking home from school. So watch this and just see, is there anything else then you can add to your couple of sentences you've written? Okay, so with that done, I wonder if you did manage to add any more sentences to it. I've got something that I'd like you to watch and to bullet point down some information on. So these are the sort of three main types of pollution that there are in the world, and then work out how does where does air pollution come from. Okay, so you need to bullet point down the three main types of pollution there are in the world, and then explain a little bit more about air pollution. So I'm going to show you this clip, and I'll leave those questions there, and I'd like you to get on with that.
Pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. Pollutants can be natural, such as volcanic ash. They can also be created by human activity, such as trash or runoff produced by factories. Pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. Pollution is a global problem. Although urban areas are usually more polluted than the countryside, pollution can spread to remote places where no people live. For example, pesticides and other chemicals have been found in the Antarctic ice sheet. In the middle of the northern Pacific Ocean, a huge collection of microscopic plastic particles forms what is known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Soil pollution. The toxic substances that are deposited on the Earth's surface harm our health and well-being and affect food, water, and air quality. Water pollution. The release of substances into subsurface groundwater or into lakes, streams, rivers, estuaries, and oceans to the point where the substances interfere with beneficial use of the water or with the natural functioning of ecosystems. Air pollution. Air pollution refers to the release of pollutants into the air, pollutants which are detrimental to human health and the planet as a whole. Causes. 1. Smog and soot. Smog and soot are made up of tiny particles of chemicals, soil, smoke, dust, or allergens in the form of either gas or solids that are carried in the air. 2. Hazardous air pollutants. A number of air pollutants pose severe health risks and can sometimes be fatal even in small amounts. 3. Greenhouse gases. By trapping the Earth's heat in the atmosphere, greenhouse gases lead to warmer temperatures, which in turn lead to the hallmarks of climate change: rising sea levels, more extreme weather, heat-related deaths, and the increased transmission of infectious diseases. Pollution is a global issue and cannot stop by one person. We all are responsible for this.
Okay, so the next thing I'd like to do is to access the information below, unless you've got the work pack from me, and in that you'll find this worksheet here. Now what this worksheet's got is it's got questions you can see in a box and the information directly above those questions. So it really isn't complicated. You read the information, you answer the full the questions in full sentences. There are 10 questions, it should take you about 12 minutes. So you'll need to pause me while you do that. So again, all the information's in the description below. You click on that, you get the worksheet up, or use the information pack that I've given you. So pause me now while you get on with that. So this is a picture of London in smog. You've just been hearing a little bit about what smog is: very polluted air. Unfortunately, due to changes that have been made to London with congestion charges, that this really doesn't happen that much anymore, apart from in really terrible conditions where there is no wind and everything just sits there for quite a long time. Now, the reason why I show this is that I've only experienced smog once in my life, when I was in Liverpool at one point, going back probably about 20 odd years, and it really is difficult to breathe. It feels like your airways are closed off and you're just breathing in dirt and grime. So smog is something that is pollution in the air, which just makes the air extremely dirty. Okay, I'd like you to write down what smog is now, please. So smog is pollution in the air that makes the air extremely dirty. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate to you how to do a line graph. So apologies if you know how to do one already. This is not the line graph you're going to draw, so you do not need to draw this out. This is just an example. To do this, you're going to need a pencil sharpener, potentially, a pencil and a ruler. That's what you're going to need for your actual line graph. For me, however, this is just a demonstration, so you do not need to draw this out. You do need some line paper. Again, in the description below, you will find some if you don't have any. A line graph works quite straightforward. That what you do is you draw a line going down the side to get your axes, and then I'm going to do one across the bottom as well. As I say, this is an example. So I'm going to sort of now explain where I get my data from. So this is a tub of equipment I've got. I've got let's start with green pens. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 green pens. That's a lot of green pens. So I've got 19 green pens. I'm just going to make a quick note at the bottom of my page so I remember what it is. You're going to get all this information as you need it on the screen, okay, for your task. So I've got 19 green pens. Okay, let's see what else I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 highlighters. Okay, so I'm going to write 4 highlighters. Okay, what else have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pencils. I've got, let's do black pens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black pens. I've got, let's do purple pens because I've got a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purple pens. I've got 1, 2, 3 pairs of scissors. I don't know why they're called pairs. Is it because there's like 2 little metal bits? I don't know. I've got 3 glue sticks. Oh, I found another purple pen. We'll make that 7 then. Poor little purple pen. I've got 1 have a nice day thing. That shouldn't be in there. I've got 1 pencil sharpener and 2 what are they called, markers. Okay, so you're going to have a whole list of what you need on your screen. However, for the sake of what we're going to look at, here's the graph. So you're going to need to draw this out when you've got your information. Now, my biggest number is 19. You'll have a bigger number than that. I need to work out what my scale is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, typical. 19. Okay, so I've got my 19 going up. You might need to do this in tens or something. 6, 7, 8, And then I'm going to need to label it. So this axis, this is a really important part of it. This is the number. Now yours might be something slightly different. Number in equipment box. Okay, so the first thing I've got is green pens, isn't it? So I'm going to write on this line, I'm doing it on the line, people, green pens. So I've written down here green pens, and I know I've got 19 of them, so I'm going to put a dot up there. Okay, so there's my dot, it's next to the number 19. My next one is 4 highlighters, so I'm going to write on the line, highlighters, and I've put my dot of 4. Then I've got pencils. Okay, all of your data set's going to be different than mine, but this is how you do a line graph. This is why I'm showing you this. I've got 1 pencil sharpener. Please note I'm still labeling the bottom, because if I don't label the bottom, I've got no hope of knowing what the graph makes sense. I've got 2 markers, so I'm on the 2 line, and I've got markers, and I've got 2 markers. Do you see how that lines up there? Okay, it's on the 2 and it's the markers, there's a dot there. I've got 3 glues. So again, I'm writing the word glue at the bottom. I've got 5 black pens, so I'm just going to write the word black. I've got 7 purple, and I've got 3 scissors. Couldn't be my own handwriting. Oh, there we are. Scissors. Okay. Then what I'm going to do, just pretend that's not there. Then what I'm going to do is I need to label this bottom part. I've labelled that as number of equipment box, and I'm going to label this as equipment. Okay, I'm very nearly done. There we are. I'm underlining those. Please make sure you follow these steps. So we've labelled the axes, we've written down what they are, we put dots on the appropriate thing. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is to link all these up. So it's kind of a bit like join the dots, but it's done sequentially. So I've got that, that, this is why it's important you've got the dots on so you know where you're going, that, that, it's a bit steeper here, that, and then that. Okay, so there's my line graph. You're going to need to design your own line graph in a few minutes. Now, what's really important is that with this as well, that you then need to be able to interpret this data. So with this data, I can clearly see that I've got more green pens than anything else. I can also see that my smallest one is my sharpener. So in terms of my equipment box, that's what I've got. Okay, you are going to go on to construct your own line graph in a few moments. I'm going to take you through a data set, and then you need to then analyze it like I've just done that there. Okay, the other thing, just before we go on to do the actual proper line graph, that was the demonstration for you, is I need to just explain how pollution is measured. So it's called PM2.5. And that's a fine particulate matter. It's about the amount of particles or liquid droplets that are in the air that have a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers across. That's 1/400th of a millimeter, or about 3% of the diameter of human hair. So it is tiny. So some PM2.5 is naturally occurring. Things like dust, sea salt, but some is man-made, such as particles and vehicle exhausts. And it's said that according to the UK government in 2021, for air to be good quality, it should be around about 5. So there should be 5 PM2.5s in the environment. That's important for what we're going to look at in a moment. Now, what I'm going to do is just share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you this website. This website is listed down here. Again, I'll make sure there's a link in the description below so you can have a look at your own area. And we're going to look at air quality within Britain. Okay, so there's a website here. Basically, it's from the Task Force for Lung Health, and it just gives you some really key information. It's saying that air pollution is linked to 36,000 deaths in England each year, costs us more than £20 billion, and the most dangerous pollutants are nitrogen oxide from vehicles and other PM2.5 from vehicles, wood burning, and industry and farming. Now, what this website does, which is really good, is it just goes over the information that I've gone through with you and talks about the UK limit, the WHO limit. You can see that the UK levels here, the UK limit is technically higher than what the World Health Organization would be wanting. And you can also see here that the amount of councils which have basically reduced their pollution, it's great. 87% in 2011 had more than they had unsafe levels of PM2.5, and you can see here that ditched in 2018. Now imagine that come 2019, 2020, going through the pandemic, that would be even less. And there's been a lot of things that have been done to try and improve that. So you can see here more than 5% of all deaths linked to PM2.5 each year, and you wouldn't necessarily think that, but that's how it is. Now, this is the fascinating thing here. At the bottom of that webpage, again, I said that you got the links below. You can see here a graph of different areas. You can also search it this way. So if, for example, we looked at, let's say, Liverpool, because that's close to where I'm recording from, you see that in Liverpool, which you can see here, it's highlighted, we've got a PM level of 9.33, which is underneath the 2018 target of 10. As I said to you, it has been reduced now to 5. The worst performing road is actually at 13, which is obviously a much higher. Wirral, which is where I am recording from, that's 8.01. So Wirral is slightly better than Liverpool, which is great. If I went down to the south coast and clicked on, let's say, West Devon, you see there, that's at 5.67. That's a place that you want to live if you don't want to be getting any sort of issues with PM2.5. And then West Devon as well, South Hams, there at 5.86. But if you went to London, which is what you would kind of expect, go right into the heart of the centre, the City of London. Now this is with regards to, it's got the congestion charge as well, so people really aren't driving that much in London, but there are lots of public transport. But look, it's a 13.15, okay, which is ranked 316 out of 317. I wonder what the worst is, actually. Might be something you could try and find out. But you can see there that there's a note there to say dangerous background concentration of PM2.5 is in breach of all WHO limits, which is just massive, really. And there's a lot of work to be done there. And so that's a really interesting web page that you can look at and you can compare. I mean, look, all right, here's a positive. You go to Eden, how very biblical, 5.62 or 5.53. So it does make you realise quite the difference that can come from different areas in the world. Now, what's scary though is that we ain't that bad as a country. Yes, London's bad. But if I show you this is how we're going to construct our line graph. Here you go. So on this, London's about 11. Obviously, we've looked at that as being slightly higher. Beijing, 73. Delhi, I showed you all those pictures of, 143. I mean, that's just huge. And you can imagine what conditions would be like to live there. So this is what I would like you to do. You're going to now need to create your line graph. I've demonstrated how that works. You now need to create one using squared paper, please. Again, I've put some download that you can download, or you've got some in your pack if you've got your pack from me. You do need to draw this out, and you do need to label your axes. Now, do remember, you may need to come up with a scale for it. So, 143, you might need to do them in blocks of 10s, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. So you need to create a line graph showing that information. Remember to label both axes. Then the second question that you need to answer is explain what the data is showing you, which city is affected the most and which city is showing the least, which is least affected. That's what you need to do secondly. Then number 3, which 2 cities do you think have the most healthiest population? Number 4, which 2 cities do you think have the least healthiest population and why? And number 5, how do you think the economy or the world of work would be different if you were ill? So the economy is basically how money is processed and passed around the area through services and goods. So how do you think that the economy would be affected if you were ill? What difference would all of this pollution in the air cause for you? So this is going to be the main part of the task. You need to allow yourself sort of 20 minutes or so to do this. Make sure your line graph is done as we spoke about and went through. Make sure you've drawn the lines to match them up. Make sure you've plotted the data accurately, because this is the part of the specification which needs to be correct, and there's some other work there to be analysing, which again for a level 2 you do desperately need to do. So you're going to need to pause me now and come back to me when you've got all that done. Great. So just coming into land then, we said what we do is we're looking at air pollution around the world. We said we could identify how to plot on a line graph, which you have done, described and create a graph from the data given, which hopefully you've done, and you know what air pollution is. And that was our maths focus. Now I'm going to finish with something to try and cheer you up, because let's be honest, some of that was a little bit depressing. They won't all be like that, but the nature of this topic is we are in a world that we need to work on. So I've got a bit of James Blunt for you. So let's watch Carry You Home.
Trouble is her only friend, and he's back again. Makes her body older than it really is. And she says it's high time she went away. No one's got much to say in this town. Trouble is the only way is down, down, down. As strong as you were, tender you go. I'm watching you breathing for the last time. A song for your heart, but when